Hi everyone, thank you for joining me in the STEAM studio today. I'm going to do a project that is two parts today. The first part is going to be a drawing, and it is called a mystery drawing. And this is one I love doing with my students because they always enjoyed it and had so much fun with it. Starting first grade usually is when I did this, but I did it with older kids too. It's really kind of a fun project to do with any age. And the reason I do a mystery drawing, so the students or whoever's drawing has no idea what they're drawing until we get a little bit farther along in the process. So it's really good for developing listening skills and observational skills, and they have to pay attention to the clues, which are the lines and the shapes that I'm putting together to make something. And then I give them opportunities to guess at some point what we're drawing. And once we have the main subject of the drawing done, then I talk to the students a lot about brainstorming and coming up with their own ideas as to how they want to finish the picture. Because brainstorming is really another exercise that's good for kids and good for their brain, thinking about ideas and how they want to express those. That's a great thing for students to learn how to do, how to express themselves, and it creates confidence when they do that. The second part of this video is a book. I was really sad to learn as I was teaching how few children have anybody who read books to them at home. That's a really important activity to do with children because it helps them become better readers. It helps them learn how to read. It's a great bonding time to have with them, and it creates great memories. Some of my best memories when I was little were of having lunch with my mom and my brothers while she would read a Dr. Seuss book to us. So I put that into practice in my classroom every day that I had kindergarten, first or second grade. I would start with a book, and they loved it. They really enjoyed it. And so I included this for just an example of how I would connect a certain book to a certain activity. But of course, you don't have to include the book if you don't want to. That's up to you. I just like to present on here the things I've done that I have found a lot of value in and that the students really seem to enjoy. So I hope you have fun with this. So today, again, I have my art mat. I have my paper, and I'm again using a recycled letterhead that somebody gave me because you don't have to spend a lot of money on supplies in order to make art and have fun. So today what I'm going to use is a pencil, and then I have two different size Sharpie markers. I like Sharpies. I use them a lot. You use whatever you have on hand. It doesn't even have to be a marker. You don't have to do the step I'm going to do with the markers unless you just want to. These are just the way that I taught it in my classroom. So I'm going to put these to the side for a moment and get started with the drawing. And one of the really cool things about this drawing, doing a mystery drawing, is it's really good for developing good listening habits and observation skills. So we're going to start right in the middle of the paper. And I'm going to start by drawing an upside down triangle. Upside down triangle. And again, as with the last video, I'm sketching. So I'm not worried about extra lines. I'm not using my eraser a lot. I'm just trying to do my best. And then when I get finished drawing, I can do any cleaning up then that I need to do with the eraser. So I'm going to come down to this first flat side of the triangle, and I'm going to draw a half a circle on it. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And I usually don't let my students guess until we're a certain way into the drawing, and then we'll talk more about some of their guessing when we get there. I'm going to add one more half a circle to the bottom of the other two half circles. Okay, then I'm going to come up here to these two corners of the triangle, and on each side I'm going to draw a short vertical line, try to make them about the same length. And so this is really good too for helping children understand their lines and their shapes. And so you'll notice I say things like vertical line, horizontal line, diagonal line. These are all some of the first things that we teach our students, and it gives them it helps with their vocabulary. And then of course drawing also helps with fine motor skills as well as creating new connections in the brain. So when you're drawing, you're doing brain exercises. All right, I'm gonna come to the top of each of these vertical lines, and I'm gonna draw a diagonal oval, kind of a lemon or football shape. And I'm gonna do my best to match it on the other side, but if it's not exactly right, that's perfectly fine. As I always tell my children, my students, we don't do perfect. There's only one who's perfect, and it's not us, but we can certainly do our best. All right, inside each diagonal oval, I'm gonna do a vertical oval. So you can probably tell already that this is gonna be a face, and this is a point where my students wanna start guessing, but there's really not enough information yet to know what kind of a face it is. So we're gonna keep going. I'm gonna come back here to one of the half circles, and I'm gonna draw a curved line that starts at this half circle, goes over, up, around, and back to the other side. So now we're getting more of a face, but still don't have quite enough information yet. Okay, so I'm gonna come up here to the top of the head. You can tell that's a head now. And I'm gonna do a half a circle on the right. And this is just a personal preference. I like to do a little kind of a point at the top, like a little tuft of hair. And then I'm gonna do the same on the left. So this is a good exercise too for talking about symmetry. Same on the right as on the left. There you go. And then inside each of those shapes, I'm just gonna do another half circle. So at this point in the drawing, I like to let my students guess what they think we're drawing. A lot of them will say different kinds of cats, a jaguar, a cougar, a cat. Some say a bear. Lots of different ideas, and it could be any of those at this point. So the next line I'm gonna add is gonna let you know for sure what this is. And what I like to do is just make a big zigzaggy line that goes all the way around. And I try not to make it even on purpose. And then you can tell, of course, that it's a lion, and that's the lion's mane. Okay, so we are not completed with the picture yet, and we have to add a body. And so the way I add this body, it teaches them a little bit about perspective. And we'll talk about that more in just a minute. But what I do is I start with the front legs, and I start right here at the bottom of the mane. I come down with a vertical line. I make a little curve for the foot, and then I go up about halfway and stop. And you'll see that I'm always adjusting, kind of going back over lines. That's part of sketching, trying to kind of get it the way you want it without erasing. And I'm gonna come over here to this side of the mane. I'm gonna just follow those same steps. Down, a little curve for the foot, and halfway back up. Okay, and then I'm gonna connect these with the curved line for his chest or belly. Okay. And then the last part of the body is a little bit tricky. So I ask my students to pay close attention to this, and we're gonna start right here in this little corner where his leg and his chest meet, and I'm gonna come down and I'm gonna do another little foot, but I'm not gonna come down as far. And I always ask my students if they know why I'm not coming down as far, and it's because it's farther away. So when you're drawing, things that are farther away are up higher on the paper. And then I'm gonna come back to this mane and do a little bit of a curve. I'm I'm going to come down even with this one and make another little foot. And this time I'm going to bring this line right over to the body, because you can't see the whole body, but this gives you an indication a little bit, makes it a little bit three-dimensional because the back part is farther away than the front part. And then of course the last thing we're going to add is the tail, which I like to say looks kind of like a paintbrush. Okay, and so that's the basic mystery drawing of a lion. Now is where you get to have a little bit of fun with it. So I talk a lot with my students about adding details, because details make your art more interesting, and they also give a little bit of a clue about you as the artist and what you're thinking about and what you like to show in your art. So I'm gonna just start by adding a few claws. You could do this or not, or you could just add a little line like that to kind of show the toes. Okay, and then we talk about location, the background. All this area around your lion is the background, and we want to talk about your ideas for where is your lion. Now, your lion could be someplace realistic that a lion would really be, like the jungle or in Africa, in a circus, in a zoo, or since this is art and you're using your imagination, your lion could be someplace where a lion would never be, because it's art, and I want you to learn how to have fun with it and express your own ideas. So I'm gonna go ahead and add a few details to my lion. This is not something anybody else has to do. These are just kind of my ideas, and I like to make them kind of funny for the kids and just show them how you can have fun with your art. Okay. So you might not know what he's on yet until I add some more details, and the details are like the clues in the mystery drawing. So my lion is outside, and therefore I need to add what's called a horizon line in the background. Somewhere above his feet, anywhere above his feet, is this line shows where the ground and the sky come together. Now, because my lion is actually on a surfboard, I'm going to add another line here, which indicates that he's in the water. And then I'm just going to add a few more details to give you more clues about my ideas and what I'm thinking about. So I can add things in the sky. And if I want to do a sun that doesn't look like anybody else's sun, that is just fine, because I'm the artist. And these are my ideas that I'm exploring and sharing. And I'm the only one who has to like it, right? I'm the artist, okay? So maybe I'll add a little funny crab here. A little happy crab. Okay, maybe I want to add a palm tree, because I am near the ocean or water. And if I don't know what a palm tree looks like, I can either look it up, or I can make up my own version, or I can do something else. No fear, no worries. This is just about having fun, being creative, exploring ideas, and exercising your brain through your pencil, your marker, your paintbrush, whatever you're using, making contact with the paper. That is brain exercise. And there's also, if you've ever done art for any period of time, you notice probably that there's a very relaxing component to doing art. It's very therapeutic. It helps a lot with stress. It helps you to slow down your brain and to focus, okay? So I have some lines here that I don't want. That's okay, I'm not gonna worry about those right now. I'm gonna take care of those in a minute when I start adding the Sharpie. And maybe I wanted a little seashell. However many details you want, they're just gonna make your drawing that much more interesting. Maybe a beach ball. I get to decide. I can add some details to my lion if I want to. I could put clothes on him. Maybe he's wearing a necklace. You decide what you want to do for your artwork. There's no wrong answers. Okay, and then when I'm finished, when I feel that I'm done, I'll give him a little, I'm gonna take my Sharpies, and the difference between these two Sharpies, this one's a little bit thicker, and this one I like to use for fine details. So maybe like on the face, where the features, I don't want to look too thick. Now this is his pupil. I'm gonna go ahead and color that in with the Sharpie because I want it black. And then you can use whatever you want to color, whatever you have on hand. And the good thing about art too is you don't have to do it all in one setting. Do a little bit, take your time, enjoy it. If you get tired of it, go do something else and then come back to it, okay? So I'm not gonna, well, yeah I am. I'm gonna go ahead and at least do the face so I can show you again what I do when I'm finished tracing with Sharpie. I don't wanna take the time to do the entire thing right now, but this line right here at the top of the head, since I added a little bit of his mane coming down, I'm not gonna trace that top part because that's something I'm gonna go back and erase, but I am gonna trace this. And now at this point, well, let me do this right here. This is a small detail. And then at this point, I would probably switch to my bigger Sharpie where I want bolder lines. So again, it's up to me. I get to make all those choices. And if I don't like the one I made for some reason, then next time I can do something different. So many of my students would put pressure on themselves to be perfect, perfectionists. There's a lot of perfectionism. And I would just tell them, you can't be perfect no matter how hard you try, but you can do your best and you can be excellent. Okay, so pretend that I've traced everything, and then I'm gonna go back now with my eraser and clean it up to get rid of all those lines that still show and are from the sketchiness. Again, I like to say trace it or erase it. And then once you've done these steps, get your colors and have some fun. If you don't want to color it, if you want to leave it black and white, that's your choice as an artist. It's all about exercising your brain, and making your own choices helps with that too. That is good for your brain as well, to be making some choices and decisions, especially on how you would like to express yourself. Okay, so there's a mystery drawing. I hope you have fun finishing it. The book I'm going to read today is about a lion, so it goes well with the mystery drawing that we just did. It's called The Lion and the Bird by Marion Dubuc, I think is how you say it, not sure. And she is the author and the illustrator. So I like to, when I'm reading to my students, give them clues and ask them questions about things and details that they see to help make the story more meaningful to them, especially in a book like this, because this book has lots of pictures and few words, and so the pictures really do help tell the story. And so the lion's carrying a rake and his spade. The leaves are brown, so we talk about what season that might be. And it says Lion is working in his garden when he hears a sound. There's a little bird on the ground. Oh, poor thing. Lion can't just leave him there. He picks him up, his wing is hurt, and Lion says, let's bandage you up. That will help. So the first act of kindness is just paying attention and not leaving him there to fend for himself. Oh no, they're flying away. There goes his little flock, because that's what birds do in the fall. Don't worry, you won't be cold here. Lion puts the bird on his head that looks like a great nest and takes him into the house. You're welcome to stay with me. There's more than enough room for both of us. So they're eating together, sitting in front of the fire together, brushing their teeth together, and look where the little bird is sleeping in his slipper. Nice and snug. And they're all tucked in for the night. Look, it's snowing. I bet that bird's never seen snow before. Lion puts him on his head again. The snow is cold and icy, but you are snug and warm. They spend the winter together, enjoying each day. It snows and snows. But winter doesn't feel all that cold with a friend. And it snows. And then a clue. What's coming next? One day, spring returns. And look, the little bird's wing is all healed and he's flying. And the others too. Here comes his flock. Yes, says Lion, I know. And there goes his little friend to join his flock. And Lion watches him leave and watches until he's out of sight. And so it goes. Sometimes life is like that. And now all the things he did with his little friend, he's doing by himself. And one of the things I like to ask my students is, do you think he feels more lonely now that the bird has come and left than he did before the bird arrived? So he works in his garden. And his garden grows. Summer passes slowly, softly. Then one day, autumn returns. And how about you? Lion wonders, looking up toward the sky. Maybe. I think he's afraid he won't come back. But there's another clue. Tweet. And there's his friend. He did come back, and there goes his flock. Together, we'll stay warm again this winter. Back on his head. And they're all tucked in for the night. The end. I love this book. It's about kindness, helping others, and it's a great lesson for us all. Thank you for joining me in the STEAM studio. I will see you next time. Take care.